Good afternoon, everyone. It's wonderful to be here and part of CityLab Detroit. JPMorgan Chase has a long history in the city. We've been doing business here for more than 80 years and are deeply invested in the city's future. Over 4 years ago, we made a $100 million commitment to Detroit's economic recovery. And we increased that commitment last year because of all the progress we were seeing on the ground and expected to hit $150 million by 2019. One of the things we've learned through our work in Detroit is that entrepreneurship creates opportunity. In a moment, I'm going to introduce you to two incredible entrepreneurs. But first, I want to give you some context for our stories, so let's take a look.
We were unique originally in that we were the manufacturing center of the world throughout most of the last century. And then we fell harder and faster than probably any city in America. Lost 2/3 of our people, 2/3 of our businesses, 2/3 of our restaurants, nearly all of our movie theaters.
The whole role of business in society is evolving. We see bigger economic challenges, we see the divisions in so many of our communities, and we have to play a bigger role in trying to address those divisions. We see small business growth, particularly in a city like Detroit, as really boosting the vitality and the character of the city.
As we saw businesses coming into the city, there were a number of African-American entrepreneurs who were saying they were left out. And I went to JPMorgan Chase and I said, this is a hole in the lending pool. And we have African-American and Hispanic-owned businesses opening across the city, doing very well. The West Village neighborhood used to have a vibrant commercial strip. Detroit Vegan Soul went in and filled in a vacant storefront. Now that entire strip is vibrant, and the next block over Kirchville is starting to redevelop.
You're supporting not only the entrepreneur, but they're hiring people, and they're creating a whole economic vibrancy, whether it's April's Cakes and Bakes, which started out at the community kitchen in Eastern Market, and now has 2 locations and a food truck. Every time she progresses and does more, she hires more people, and she keeps adding to the community.
One business by itself doesn't change a neighborhood, but you start to get 3 or 4 businesses. The city improves the streetscape, we move more families into the vacant houses, and all of a sudden, you've got a vibrant commercial district, and that's what we're starting to replicate in Detroit over and over.
So as you can see, for JPMorgan, it all started in Detroit. We are so thrilled to be part of the incredible transformation happening in the city. And as Mayor Duggan said it, we're replicating what we've learned here in other cities, like Chicago and Washington, D.C. Last month, we announced an even bigger step to extend the effort through AdvancingCities. This is a $500 million 5-year commitment that will take what we have learned in Detroit to communities around the world. And that includes investing in entrepreneurs. The importance of small business in Detroit's resurgence cannot be overstated. We are so proud of our partners in Detroit, and our collective work for everybody in this room is really about people. And so it gives me great pleasure to introduce 2 fantastic small business owners who are participants in the Entrepreneurs of Color Fund and a dynamic part of Detroit's transformation. Please join me in welcoming Kristen Ussery from Detroit Vegan Soul and Felicia Maxwell, owner of Fit for Life. Hey, ladies.
Hi.
So thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having us.
We're so excited, and these are 2 dynamic business owners and really leaders in Detroit and in the resurgence. I think you heard the mayor say that on the video. Let's start with you, Kristen, and talk a little bit. I think Richard Florida said Detroit is known for Motown and for the automotive industry. I don't know that anybody would have necessarily thought it as a vegan hotspot. So Detroit Vegan Soul was the first vegan soul restaurant in Detroit. What inspired that for you?
Well, the short of it was really to break the cycle of disease in the community. So my partner and I became vegan about 8 years ago. And we looked around Detroit. There weren't really any options for us. And at that time, there were two different reports that had come out that Detroit was one of the fattest cities, also that people were dying at a much younger age than in other cities. And so we knew that there was a need, and we'd seen the amazing benefits of becoming vegan ourselves. Neither of us had been in the restaurant industry before. But we decided we were going to fill that need. So we started out doing catering, pop-ups, meal delivery, and then we got a great response, great support. And we opened the first restaurant 5 years ago in West Village neighborhood, and then we opened our second location a year ago in Grandmont Rosedale. And it's amazing.
It's fantastic. And so, Felicia, you likewise are focused on health and wellness, fitness, transforming people's lives through health and wellness. And so you started in the basement of your home and now run a facility in Grandmont Rosedale.
Yes.
And you have 125 clients and growing. So can you talk a little bit about how that transformation took place?
Absolutely. It was really out of demand. I started in my basement in 2013, and my friends told their friends, and I watched between 25 and 30 women transform from the inside out, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, like I did after coming out of a long abusive relationship of, mentally, physically, emotionally abused, and coming out of that depression for me with exercise and eating clean, it helped me. So when I watched these women transform and saw that I outgrew my space in my basement, I was like, okay, I need to do more. I knew I was called and supposed to do more. And a girlfriend of mine sent me a link to the Motor City Match. Say, you should apply for this. I know you said you want to do something in the city, so you should apply for this. And my degrees are in finance, so I decided, why not? I'm going to try. We'll see. If it happens, that means I'm supposed to do it, even though in my heart I knew I was supposed to do it. If I win, that means I'm supposed to do it. And I won. And then I won again. And then I won again. And so, so it was out of demand, and it was like a push from God, like, you're supposed to do more. You're supposed to help more. So with that, I have transformed from my basement, and I'm continuing to transform lives from the inside out, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And just watching the transformation has been amazing. And like you said, I'm on West McNichols between Evergreen and Outer Drive in a neighborhood where I grew up, not even 5 minutes from there, and I'm enjoying and absolutely loving what I do.
That's great. And you did a lot of research to identify Grandmont Rosedale as your location.
Yes. So with that, in regards to the research, when I was doing my business plan, I did some research on that particular area, really all over Detroit, but that particular area, I was drawn to that area because there were a myriad of diseases in that area, and there wasn't a gym there.
Yeah.
So there was a demand and a need for a gym to be in that particular area. So that's how I ended up in that particular
And
location.
it speaks to the importance of location, location, location.
Yeah.
And so, Kristen, you decided to open up Detroit Vegan Soul in the West Village when there was really not a lot of other commerce happening there. And now it's a vibrant commercial strip. So can you just talk about what drew you to that location and how you decided to open your first restaurant there?
Well, we lived in the neighborhood for about 12 years. And so we would walk past the space where our restaurant is, and that commercial corridor was completely empty, and we'd walk past that space. This was before the big dream of Detroit Vegan Soul, even before becoming vegan, and think about all of the wonderful things that could go into this space. And so fast forward a few years later, we become vegan. We have this calling, as you say, and it's time to open a business, and everything just kind of fell into place, and we ended up in that very space that we would walk by several years before. And also, I remember sitting around with other neighbors talking about the types of things that we wanted in our neighborhood, and we talked about restaurants and coffee shops and all of those things. And I think a lot of businesses were kind of afraid to go into a neighborhood, but because we knew the community so well, we knew that people really wanted something, and we knew just how strong the the community and the fabric of the community was that we would be successful. And so we opened, and other people saw, hey, a vegan restaurant is doing well in West Village. So I think that made people a lot more comfortable with coming into the neighborhood.
That's terrific. And according to Mayor Duggan, you were the catalyst, so that's really exciting.
Yeah.
And Felicia, you have a background in finance, as you mentioned. And so what is it? We have a lot of mayors here, city planners, really innovators in the urban space. What is Detroit doing right in the small business to create a small business ecosystem that allows entrepreneurs like you and Kristen to really thrive?
I would say because like I said, I won back to back to back, so making the funding so accessible and available to your average, Detroiter. So making that funding accessible and available. And then I forgot to mention with the Motor City Match, Entrepreneurs of Color Fund through JPMorgan Chase matched that. And so as part of the resources that became available, the technical assistance, the marketing, the websites, those resources came with it. Personally, I don't even like doing that type of stuff. So the finance was my background. And so with that came the resources. So making it so accessible and available for me really helped, and for other Detroiters. So that's what, I would say they're doing wonderfully well.
And did you find that to be true as well? What do you think the city's doing right? What lessons can people sitting in this audience draw from the city?
Well, I think certainly making the capital accessible. I know that, we completely bootstrapped our first location and did a lot of the work ourselves and all of that. But we certainly wouldn't have been able to expand without Motor City Match and the Entrepreneurs of Color Fund. But even more than that, just having a support network. So we're part of Food Lab Detroit. When we first got started, I participated in Build, and that program helped me to develop our business plan. And those programs are like our family now. So they still support us. If we have any questions, we can go to them. It's a great opportunity to network with other entrepreneurs. So I think the capital, and then also having that support group, support network, and all of the resources that come along with it.
Fantastic. And so what advice do you have? So many small businesses struggle, and you guys, I know it hasn't been easy, but what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs in Detroit or in really any city?
I would say start. Take that leap of faith, start, do your research. And then for me, I just celebrated just this past Saturday. We celebrated our 1-year anniversary. So thank you. And there were so many challenges along the way. So, being in a neighborhood. So I would say, don't give up, don't quit. So start, do your research, and never quit. Don't give up, regardless of the challenges. You got to have some tough skin, but to just keep going.
Yeah, that's right. And I'd say, it's great to have a plan and to do all of your research and to go in it with a game plan, but also be ready for whatever happens, because you cannot possibly foresee all of the different challenges that are going to come your way. We have 2 brick and mortar restaurants now, and so I've had to learn a little bit about being an electrician, a plumber, a lot of different things. And so, you just have to kind of be open and ready, flexible, and willing to learn anything. And like you said, not give up when all of the challenges come.
So one last question before we wrap up. Felicia, you're a native Detroiter, and Kristen, you've been here for 20 years, long-time Detroiter. As you walk around the city now, as you walk down the street, if you could describe in one word how you feel about the city and your place in it, what would you say, Felicia?
I would say proud, very proud, just to see how the city is coming alive and is getting back to where and the way it used to be, and even, I think, even better, because we have so many more restaurants and so many, coming alive. So I have a sense of pride and proud to say, hey, I'm from Detroit, and I'm helping to revitalize it and do something about some of the epidemics that are taking place in Detroit.
Great. Kristen?
I'd say energized. I walk around the community and even in the neighborhood. So as I mentioned, no businesses in the neighborhood before. Now we have coffee shop, we have several restaurants, and more things opening up. Seems like every couple of months. And so it's really great to see all of the excitement and the energy around, and to know that I had a small part in helping to bring that forth.
Well, ladies, thank you so much. I know how hard it is to take time away from your business and your clients and your customers, so please join me in thanking Kristen and Felicia and wishing them continued success.